Welcome back to Rangers Central. The Rangers lose once again. Who was surprised? Not me. They lose 5-1 to the Los Angeles Kings, and around we go, baby. Hop on the merry-go-round because it's the same thing, just a different day. What do you want me to say? They lost to a good team. They continue to get in dogfights and scrape out wins against bad teams, which is why when they won against Buffalo the other day, I didn't care. I did not give a single shit when they won the other day because I knew this was coming. And I'm sorry, but this is, and I love you and I appreciate you because you're always in my chat, but this really wasn't a bold prediction. It was not really bold to predict that they were going to lose this game. I actually cashed out some good money today between Warren Fogle and Adrian Kempe scoring because this was obvious. This was so obvious. I'm sitting here or I shouldn't say here. I was sitting on my couch, though, just watching the Los Angeles Kings. I took a step back today, especially because they were getting annihilated, especially in the third period, though, where I just lost focus entirely, to be honest. But I took a step back for a bit, and I watched and put myself in the shoes of a Kings fan for a minute. And I just watched the game as if I was looking at what they're doing. And I was like, wow. I was just so jealous that they could do every little thing right. They do everything that I could dream of this Rangers team doing. The Rangers couldn't do one thing that the Kings are able to do. I mean, whether it's retrieving pucks, controlling the neutral zone, getting in passing lanes. I mean, the Rangers, how little opportunities did they have for the majority of this game because it was sticks in the passing lanes. Not getting open ice at all because the Kings are controlling the neutral zone. The Kings are able to make the first pass out of their own end with efficiency, which led to them getting that rush where, yeah, Jones shouldn't be pinching there, but the Kings are capable of making that first pass out of the zone. This team can't do it. They get dominated below the goal line every game still. It's the same story. I don't know what you want me to say that's going to be different. I don't know what you want me to do. We're not even 30 games in, and I've had enough of this crap, and I don't want to watch this at all. This is an unwatchable product right now, and I can't even believe fans are spending money to still go to the games. God bless you. And again, I'm not going to ridicule you if you're doing it. It's your money. You do what you want to do with your money. But man, I don't know how anyone could be sitting there and enjoying going to games right now. That's just me, at least, because it's just painful to watch this team play. And I'm watching the Kings, though, right? Because I was still building off of that point. I'm watching from the Kings' perspective. And I'm sitting here saying, and I actually tweeted about this, but this is why you don't pay a goalie $11.5 million. If you play the way the Kings do, you're going to win games. Regardless, you're going to win games. Because they play the game correctly. And they don't let their goalie see that many opportunities. That's why you saw Cam Talbot put up the numbers he did with the Kings. That's why Darcy Kemper's actually having a respectable season with the Kings. They're able to play with structure and do everything. And this team? No. There's nothing. And the Connor Mackey fight, we thought, oh, here we go, saving the season again. No, they rolled over and died. We tried this gimmick with the memo. They tried it with Trouba fighting. They've tried it time and time again. Nothing will spark this team. Let it go anytime something little happens and be like, oh, maybe this is the turning point. I'm at the point where 1 win, 2 wins, 3 wins, not doing it for me. I'm at the point where I need to see 5, at minimum 5 consecutive wins before I could sit here and be on board with this team actually being good enough. And again, they have to actually beat teams that are respectable on the schedule. They've beat one team this entire year that is above the playoff line right now. And that's the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have not beat any other team that is a playoff level team this year. Not one. outside of Toronto. And Toronto, that was in October when they were still adjusting to their new system. Look at them now, though. Ever since they've got their tweaks worked out with Craig Berube adjusting to that system, and now they're stringing wins together left and right. But here, no. They're in dogfights with the Sabres. They're in dogfights with the Canadiens. This is where we are right now. We're enough games in to where we could sit here and say, this is who they are. It's who they are, and they're closer to a lottery team than a cup team. And if anybody's going to sit here and try to convince me otherwise, then you're drinking the Kool-Aid and you're still hanging on to what last season was. You have to let it go. This is not last year. And last year, there were warning signs that there would be regression because, man, there was some slop there, and I got shit for it. But they found ways to win. God bless them. And they won the President's Trophy. But now the warning signs were there for regression. I went into this year and I was big on this more than a lot of people, but I was sitting here saying that they were going to regress this year. I never thought to this degree. There was no world where I thought they were going to be closer to a lottery team. I thought they would still be a sure bet to make the playoffs, still finish top 3 in the Metro, take a step back from first place. They're going to lose a lot more games, not too many more, but I thought they would lose a good amount more games because of the fact that there were cracks in the foundation here last year, and they were going to start to get exposed for it. And then in the playoffs, they take a step back. That's what I thought was going to happen, but I thought there was still a playoff lock. Now, I can't sit here and say they're going to make the playoffs. I can't sit here and say that they're better than a healthy Islanders squad. I can't sit here and say they're better than the Ottawa Senators, maybe even. I mean, they're at least in that company. I can't sit here and say they're better than the Flyers. And I thought they would finish top 5 in the East. I thought they'd be in the company of the Hurricanes, the Capitals, the Devils. I mean, I thought the Capitals would be below them, but I thought, you know, the Devils, the Hurricanes, the Leafs, Panthers, I thought they'd be in that grouping, not in the tier that they're in right now. And to be hanging around in the standings with the Islanders, the Senators, Penguins, the Blue Jackets even aren't too far off in points, that's just gross. Like, you're not a cup team. Just stop hanging on the last year. If anyone is, let it go. We're enough into the season that this is who they are. They will beat the bad teams, get in dogfights with them, but they'll beat the bad teams, and they're going to get their ass kicked against the quality teams. And that screams to me fraudulent. I saw it with the Eagles. How are you an Eagles fan? I saw it with my Eagles, regardless. That's irrelevant. With the Eagles last year, I saw it firsthand. Beating the bad teams, good teams come around. Nope. Weren't winning those games. And this is what is happening right now. And it's spiraling out of control. Tomorrow puts them in a situation similar to where they were in 2022-23. A December game against St. Louis that I think dictates someone's job. And I know that I've been saying it for weeks and I've been wrong, so maybe I'm wrong again and everyone's just safe somehow. I can't sit here, though, and convince myself that, what would it be, 3 out of 13 or 3 out of 14 wins in their last X games, 13 or 14 games, whatever it ends up being. I can't sit here and say somebody's not losing their job after St. Louis tomorrow if they lose. And I don't expect them to win because Quick had to come into this game. So both goalies were used. Who are you even going to go to tomorrow? Somebody's going to lose their job if they lose to St. Louis tomorrow. It's similar to where we were not too long ago, where it's going to come down to that. And I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be enough even at this rate. They've tried everything. They have tried literally, or almost everything, I should say. They've tried almost everything, and nothing has worked. This is who they are. They're entitled. They think that their shit doesn't stink because of the fact that they've been to 2 conference finals. And it's got them nowhere but taking a huge step back. And there's no way to fix this because you have contracts that aren't movable. And the guys that you would be able to move are the guys you'd want to keep. Outside of like maybe Kakko and Lindgren. Those are like 2 guys I could sit here and say, you could move those guys and I would be more than okay with it. But anyone else that you could actually realistically move are the ones that you want to keep. I'm tired of hearing about Chris Kreider being some franchise legend and that's why they can't move him. The guy is checked out. The guy has not done anything most of the season. I don't care if they move him. I'm sorry. I don't. And thankful for everything he's done. He's mailing in efforts night in and night out. Mika Zibanejad. You can't move that contract, but he's the one that really needs to go the most. I don't know what's going on with Vinny Trocheck, but he's terrible. Panarin, Lafreniere, those 2 have no idea what they're doing in the D zone. They're lost puppies in the D zone. I don't know. I don't know where you go. I mean, there's really nowhere to go. Like, this is... It feels like rock bottom. Thank you for the $5, Steve. Do you think it's a situation where they've quit on management because of Trouba and Goudreau? Maybe. And if that's the case, then you gotta just clean house. You have to clean house. Chris Drury needs to lose his job. He has to lose his job. You can't continue. You can't have this guy around. You just can't. There are so many guys that need to go, whether it's staff, whether it's players, whatever. There are so many guys that have to go. I don't know. This is genuinely the worst I have felt as a fan of this team in my life. This really is. Like, when they were rebuilding, they were rebuilding. And I wasn't around for the dark ages, but the fact that there are fans that are saying this is worse should speak volumes. I mean, they're the worst defensive team I've seen in my damn life. It's wild, though. It's wild that we're here. It really is. Like, it's stunning how quick the regression is. Like, it wasn't even a steady regression, like a ease out of it sort of deal. This is just a slap in the face. Like, you aren't actually good, and you were power play merchants all along, and now you're getting humbled. And I don't know what you do anymore. Like, it's even worse that you extended Igor to this bunny, because where do you go? Where do you go? Because now that you committed the money to the goalie, you have to go all in. So what do you do? Trade prospects and picks and deplete the farm more because you feel forced to win with a core that's not going to, but because you paid your goalie, you have to go all in now. Where do you go? Unless they move Igor at the deadline because they're out of contention, I'm lost. I'm lost at the direction, and it's nothing that there's nothing they could do to sell me on this for the next 8 to 10 years. And you could call it over dramatic. It's genuinely the truth, because I need you guys to hear me out and listen with me on this and stick with me. If you are one of the people that don't agree with me, I'm saying, because I'm sure some of you agree, but they're in a spot right now with this core that has unmovable pieces. They're at least committed probably for, I would say, 2 to 3 more years with this group, for some of the guys at least, that it clearly isn't good enough to win. You paid the goalie 11.5. By the time you are able to move off of these guys, Igor's going to start regressing. If he hasn't, I mean, he clearly has already, but he's going to start regressing more. And even if you did go with a rebuild or retool right now, the goalie's making 11.5. You're not going to be bad enough to get a quality pick, and you're not going to be good enough to be a cup contender. You're telling me that we're going to have to wait around for the next group of guys to get playoff experience, and then by the time they do, Igor's going to just fall off a cliff? There's no direction. This is why I can't understand how they did not wait until the trade deadline to assess where they are before extending Igor. And no, it's not still early. It's not still early. We're in December. This is who they are. There's no direction right now. There's literally no sense of where you could go to where it makes sense. Because if you go all in with this group, it's not good enough. If you retool, how long until that group gels together? If you rebuild, then why is Igor even here? And this too. You're paying your goalie $11.5 million. And again, don't care if it's his fault or not. Making $11.5 million and getting pulled twice ever since the contract too, I'm pretty sure. I don't understand. And he has a full no move. I'm pretty sure he has a full no move. I could be wrong, but I'm like 99% sure he has a full no move. Unless you're talking about his current contract. Yes, his current contract is a modified no trade clause. They have until July 1st to move him until it's a full no move clause. And if they don't move him, you are locked in to this contract, and you have to go for it. You have to go for it, because what are you going to do? Have a 30-year-old goalie while you're trying to rebuild or retool? Where is that getting you? This is bad. This is really, really bad. I mean, they were trotting out an AHL level squad on defense today. Like, outside, and I know people aren't happy with Adam Fox right now, but outside of Adam Fox, what a joke of a blue line they're running out there right now. Braden Schneider's been terrible lately. Zach Jones, ever since he's been getting the full-time gig, has not been good. Victor Mancini is not NHL ready. I mean, Connor Mackey might have actually been the second best defenseman today. Maybe even the best. If that's not speaking volumes, I don't know what is. And this is it. It will go down as one of, if not the worst decisions in franchise history. There was no deal to me. I never was going to get behind extending Igor. There was no way, unless this team proved to me that in front of him they're good enough, and they haven't won with him and with this team in front of him, so clearly they're not good enough. There really was a very small amount this team could do to convince me that extending him made sense, no matter what the structure of the contract is, no matter which way. There was just no way to get me on board with it. And this too. This is the point that I made when they extended Igor. It's exactly the point I made. I've never been so excited for baseball in my life, because this crap is not worth my time. It really is just not worth my time. My biggest mistake was rebranding this channel to be strictly Rangers. I could have just stuck with it, and then I would have had an excuse to upload Knicks content, would have had an excuse to upload the Mets, would have had an excuse to upload for both of those teams instead of this crap. But instead, here I am, dealing with this. Two wrongs don't make a right, David. Laviolette will probably be fired before any changes are made. Unfortunately, he hasn't been perfect, but this is not his fault. The core, yeah, this is what's annoying me. Again, I am not defending Laviolette. He does get blame in all this, but I'm sorry. He's not the guy to blame right now. He just isn't. And yeah, a Capitals like retool, but I don't know if that's even enough with the way this top six plays. I don't know. Nobody's saying Igor is. I mean, Igor is an issue right now because of the contract, but no, they should not have extended Igor. Sorry. No. Yeah, the Kings looked like they were just sitting back in that third period. I mean, you can't blame them. Yep, he could have. He could have got Chikrin. And yes, they could move Igor still, but are they going to? Are they going to? No. There's no way they're going to move Igor. Yeah. Can't wait for Garon to be a stud goalie. They were sitting back. They played a shutdown third period that I wish the Rangers were capable of playing. Instead, in Buffalo, they're dicking around and playing one of the worst third periods I've seen. And that first period, by the way, today, I don't know what was actually more disgusting, the first or the second period. Both some of the worst periods I've seen this season, and that's speaking volumes because it's been nothing but wolf shit this entire year so far. And no, we don't trust Drury to retool. I at least don't. I sure as hell don't. Yeah. Three President's Trophy winners in the history of the sport missed the playoffs the next year. Rangers could be the fourth. They very well could be the fourth. And they probably will be the fourth. They probably will be. Because this team does not deserve to make the playoffs. I mean, there are so many teams below them that deserve to make the playoffs more than they do. It's not even a question. Chris Drury does need to go. Because they need to rebuild, Richard. They need to rebuild. Yeah, I predicted the Sens to make the playoffs. And they could. Bring back Nick Patan. Three points off being last in the Metro. They probably will end up being last at one point because you already know that like there will be a game against Columbus at some point this season where they're like battling it out for the bottom, and Columbus always is due to beat them at least like twice a year or so. And this is another point. This was considered the easier part of the schedule, not necessarily the Kings, but like the Penguins, the Kraken, the Blackhawks, the Sabres, the Blues, Nashville. This was considered the weaker part of the schedule, and they're still either barely scraping wins or just outright losing. They haven't even got to Dallas or Carolina, New Jersey, Tampa, Florida, Boston, Washington, Dallas again, New Jersey again, Vegas, Colorado. They haven't even got to the most difficult part of the schedule yet. They didn't get to the gauntlet. And they still look like shit. You would think, but apparently somehow no one at the top is seeing this. Oh yeah, and it makes sense that Drury was an overpaid player and gave the overpaid guy the captaincy, and look at where we are right now. And I agree with this, though, too. This is completely accurate also. As much as I want Drury fired, I can't sit here and say that I'm confident he's going to hire the right guy. Dolan, that is. Because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing either. And he's part of the reason we're in this mess to begin with. Because if he didn't rush a fucking rebuild, then this team would have went on a better path that they should have. So, I mean, everyone gets blame here. Might as well, right? No one's buying Cardiac Rangers merch this year. I mean, they're not even giving a heart attack this year when they're in close games. To me, it's just, I'm sitting back and numb to it and just laughing at this point. So no one's buying Cardiac Rangers apparel. So I might as well just switch the merch line up. Who wants to wear the Cardiac Rangers shit this year? Not me. Thank you for the $5 again, Steve. My older brother is a Ranger fan, so you know I'm looking forward to the 23rd. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a field day for the Devils again. You're gonna be able to dunk on him and be so obnoxious. If you want to call Higgins generational, if you want to. But no, you do have to get rid of your goalie to rebuild, because if Igor is, the whole argument from the pay Igor crowd is that he's going to be your best chance to win and help you make the playoffs. You can't keep him around for a rebuild. One, he's an aging goalie. Two, he's going to win you more games than you should be winning. And you're not going to be a lottery team. You're not going to get top end picks that way. You're just going to be a bubble team like Detroit's been for the past few years, or a team like the Islanders have been over the past few years, to where you'll make the playoffs some years, you'll miss them some years, and you're mediocre. You'll be the Minnesota Wild. I think that's the perfect comparable that I made the other day. You'll just be what the Minnesota Wild have been for like a decade now, where you're a bubble team, you make the playoffs every now and then, you have a happy to be there first round, maybe second round appearance, you lose, and then the other years that you're not making it, you're just on the outside looking in. That's what, that's where this is trending right now. Minnesota Wild territory, to where they were for a while. I don't think this is true. I don't believe this is true at all, because most Ranger fans, at least I could speak for myself and the people that I talked to in my group chat, we all agreed that there was a certain price limit where we would be okay with Igor getting extended. The Wild are good, but how long did it take? Exactly. It took them like a decade to get to, and forget even that. They haven't even got to the playoffs yet to like make a statement if they are legit or not. Like, as good of a season they're having, we got to see what they do in the playoffs before we could even make that claim. But I mean, it was a decade of just mediocrity, constantly making and missing the playoffs, right on the outside looking in, or just happy to be there and lose to the Chicago Blackhawks in round one. And now, yeah, I mean, they're good, but like you said, it took a decade, and it took them finding a gem in Kirill Kaprizov, which he is so disgusting. I freaking wish the Rangers had that type of talent. I wish. But that's where I feel like this team is trending towards, where they're just going to be a bubble team, and that's good enough for ownership, because they'll make playoff revenue every now and then. They might miss the playoffs, but they'll get playoff revenue for the most part. I don't think this is true. I really don't. I don't think they're going to be able to get Rantanen, and he wants like 14 million. I don't think Kaprizov's going to be a Ranger. Isn't he under contract for a while? There's no way. There is no way they're getting Kaprizov. Would love him. No way it's going to happen. I mean, he's got 2 years left, so never mind. Maybe, but I still don't see it happening. And Marner's probably the most realistic, but Marner does not fit what they need. Marner's not at all what they need. And yeah, I want nothing to do with Marner either. As good of a season as he's having, and it's great that he's finally finding somewhat of a game under Craig Berube. until he proves that he could be a 16 game player in the playoffs, no thank you. Because you're just adding to what you already have, and it's what you have isn't good enough. So I don't think Marner's getting 14 million. He could want it. I don't think he's getting it. I don't think he gets more than Austin Matthews. I think he gets like 13 or 12 and a half. I guess it's hard to argue because he's already making 10.9, but I don't think he's going to get a $4 million raise. I think he's going to sit just under Matthews' contract and maybe stay in Toronto even on that contract. I don't think he's going to get 14 million. He could want it. He's not getting it. I'm going to wrap it up though here. This team sucks. They suck.